Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About It. This is your host, Taylor, and welcome back to another sexy episode. I'm quite excited to have a guest return to the podcast today. We are going to be chatting with Sex with Ashley Cobb, sex blogger, sex advice columnist, and for those of you unfamiliar, Ashley was on the pod, I want to say about a year ago, and maybe less than that, and had a great chat with her. Love her page on Instagram. It's at Sex with Ashley, and she's a sexpert, a blogger, an influencer. She just has really down-to-earth, practical commentary. She's been, in several different media outlets to share her knowledge and give advice, and she now, kind of after Instagram censored her content and took down her Instagram, really silly foolishness, fuckery. And now she is back with a digital news platform, Gossip and Gasms, essentially like the shade room of sex. And she also co-hosts a sexuality-centered podcast called Ho and Tell that features real-life sex stories from strangers. So be sure to check out the episode notes and go to Ashley's Instagram page where she has the links to all of this information, and you can support her work. You can learn a lot from her. You can submit some sexy questions and get some advice from her. And I'm so excited to have her back on the podcast. So let's talk about it. All right. So welcome, Ashley, back to the show. Thank you so much for being here with me again.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. It's been a while. I want to say almost a year.
I think it was it before the pandemic?
I think it might have been. Just at the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah. That might have been it.
Yeah. Well, I would love for you to share a little bit of an update as to how your work has changed since then, the kind of things you're doing now versus where you were at then. Just kind of update people.
So I am a sex blogger. That's what I do. And I'm a freelance sex and relationship writer as well. So I write about sex. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I think, since the last time we've talked, because this started this year.
Yeah.
We didn't talk this year. I have a sex advice column that comes out every Thursday with Madame Noir, where people write in different questions and I give them, my Ashley advice. And since the summer of this year. So I had my Instagram page was taken down, I think back in March. And I, had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. It got back up in probably about 2-3 months. It came back up. But while my Instagram page was down, I started a blog called Gossip and Gasms. So Gossip and Gasms is like a sex news and entertainment blog. So every morning I'll post headlines of things that are trending currently in the news that relate to sex. So today, what was trending was we talked about how a church in Belgium used holy water to clean their altar because their altar was used used by a couple in a homemade sex movie. And they were, really upset by that. So they took some holy water and cleansed their altar. So it's stuff like that. We talk about celebrity stuff that pertains to sex, when it's trending, and regular things that you wouldn't hear about. So,
yeah. Well, and I mean, first of all, your Instagram page going down was really stupid and I imagine very frustrating. So I was so happy to see that you got it back, but it took a hot minute, 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, it was a minute.
It was really fucked up.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy to see that you did get it back, even though it shouldn't have gone away in the first place.
Me too.
Yeah. But I am happy to see that Gossip and Gasms has came out of that because there be some wild ass shit on there.
Yeah, it is. Listen, I literally try, because someone was like, where can these headlines from? So I go through different news outlets and I Google different things weekly to save for Gossip and Gasms. And like, I try to pull the ones that are like, you know, interesting and most entertaining ones that people are going to like, you know, love. The one, let's see, because one from yesterday was the woman who lets her mother and her sister have sex with her husband.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a whole real story. Like, I'm like, that's takes keeping in the family to a whole new level.
It does. I feel like every time you post something, I see it. I'm like sending it to my friends, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because this one, I'm glad that you actually brought that one up, because that was one that was like on my mind of like, I want to talk to her about this, because woman lets mother and sister have sex with her husband to keep him happy.
Because like they are all swingers, which is cool. But I don't care how open my marriage situation or boyfriend relationship is. You're just not going to sleep with my mama. You're not having sex with my mother. Mm-hmm. You're not having any blood relative of mine. That's just a boundary for me. Yes. You know, clearly it's not a boundary for everyone, but that's a boundary for me. No blood relatives, and definitely no immediate family. No, I'll pass.
Yeah. Well, because I'm like, I understand they're not blood related, but like you are married, and that is very, 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 very close.
It's just weird. You having sex with my mama and my sister? I'll pass.
And then I'm curious. Then I'm like, is she also involved, or this is just like they're like in the same house, and so it's like, all right, like mom's gonna go fuck him upstairs, and I'm gonna sit down here and like cook some dinner. Like, how does this even happen?
It's really weird, but yeah, that was a whole thing. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I just don't. It's like, how do you write about some of these things? You know, one of my favorite mantras, I guess, in the field is like, you know, yuck someone's yum. How do you like check that for yourself when you're picking these things out and deciding which ones you write on?
I'm going to be really honest, and I yuck people's yums all the time. I know.
You're like, yuck that yum.
I know as a sex positive influencer, educator, we're not supposed to, but some things are just, some things are a little too far. Mm-hmm. And some things I'm like, okay, that needs to be yucked. No.
Yeah. You're like, fuck it. I'm going to be truthful here.
That's nasty.
Yeah. There was another one that I sent to actually my chosen father, Rob, that was dad kills man who allegedly sex trafficked his daughter. Yes. And like, I feel like the comments, everyone was like, free him.
Yeah, free him. Free that man. And I went like, free that man. That man needs to be out. Like, I think there needs to be a GoFundMe for him somewhere that we can like put money on his books and stuff. Like, everybody like, free that man. He needs to be out.
Yeah. I mean, where you, I just see these and I'm like, where should we be finding these?
The internet, like nothing I post is something that I just like made up. They're already posted on the internet somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to cover myself by getting information that's already posted by an outlet. Mm-hmm. So people can't be like, oh, you made that up, or they're suing for slander. I'm like, well, no, it was in the New York Post before it got to me.
Yeah. And so, are you also still doing the advice column, or is that is still up? Yeah,
we'll do that every Thursday. Mm-hmm. Every Thursday. So Thursday it'll be up for this week.
Yeah. And how do you balance like doing both the advice column and covering all these wild ass stories? Because I feel like I have seen your advice posts. So I did know that you were doing that. There was one. I gotta find it again. There was one that really stuck out.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, well, what do I call myself? Because I have this sex entertainment blog of sorts, and then I had this. I had people who know me from the advice side. Like, what do you call that? What am I? Like, because I mean, it talks about sex, but it's on two different kind of spectrums. I don't know. I like giving advice because I try to give like real raw advice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know the one for this week that's coming out is about a woman who wants to peg her boyfriend, but he doesn't want to be pegged, and she's like, well, I need some help with some compromises. You can't there's no compromise for I want my ass touched. It's just not. Like, leave that man ass alone. That's the advice. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
So like I do try to be myself, in the advice that I give.
Yeah. Well, because some of the ones that you get too, I feel like are like very layered. The one that I was thinking of was, I think my boyfriend is having sex with men again, and I'm not sure where that leaves me.
Yeah. That one was interesting. That one was interesting because she found out that he had a Grindr page. Anybody knows Grindr? Grindr is a gay male dating site or hookup site. I don't know if it's a hookup, but it's a site that gay men typically go on to meet other gay men. So she found he had an account, a Grindr account. Now she knew previously that he was bisexual in the past, but currently, he was heterosexual because he was just with her. So she didn't really know.
Well, he could still be bisexual and be with.
Yeah. Okay, so he was bisexual, but only with her, as far as she knew. So she saw the Grindr account, and then she was like, oh. And then she found, I think it was like, he had like, if that's the same one, he had like panties and a dish in the car. What's going on? So she kind of wanted to know, like, what does she do with that? He likes sleeping with men. So you either have to make yourself okay with that. And if you're not okay, then you need to let him find someone who is okay. Because this is what he wants to do, clearly.
Well, it's also like a question of monogamy, like what their agreements have been. Because like before it's even like a male thing, it's like, oh, well, he's sleeping with other people. Is that something that you both have agreed to, or that like you would have wanted to be informed on? Like, what were even the agreements for that?
Right. That's the thing too. Like he still is cheating. So I talked about that. There's cheating. So there's that. So if you're okay with that, if you're okay with him cheating, then the next question is, are you okay with him cheating with same gender people? People may be okay with one, not the other. So you have to be real true to yourself and figure out where you lie on that.
Yeah. How do you even go about responding to some of these? Like, do you like talk it through with other people first? Or you're like, oh, I got to like unpack this? Or you just like, you're like, I'm digging in. I'm going
Some of
in.
them I read when they come to my email and they sit there for a couple of days. Honestly. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, let me, I think over in my head for a couple of days and then I go back to it. Some of them are not as clear cut. Some of them they do have layers. That's one email, particularly who's been in my email for months because I'm trying to figure out how to, give the best advice in that situation. So it's been sitting there. I'm gonna get to it, but it's been sitting there. Probably like summer. It's been sitting there for a while.
What's the topic? Now I'm intrigued.
She wants to know, she's married and she is no longer attracted to her husband physically. He's gained weight. He has some health issues or whatever. And she's like, basically, I don't want to be here because he's, gained weight. What do I need to do? What can I do? Like, and that's tricky because you're married to him. And I also feel like if you love someone, you love them throughout all the stages of their life. But, it's also, I feel it's also important if you're with someone, a partner, that, keeping yourself up is also a thing that's going on. But I think he has like some type of depression issue or something he's going through. But yeah, so that's been sitting there in my inbox for a while.
Yeah. That is so many of the ones that you get, I feel like are like nuanced and layered and kind of hard to really tackle, that like you want to be really intentional about responding to. And that one specifically, I could definitely understand because it's on one hand, he might just need some help. And on the other hand, like she has needs. Yeah. And how do you go about meeting those, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. But in January, I'll be doing the advice column for a year. So we're about to be a year. And so that's an accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think, I don't know. I didn't go into it thinking, oh, I'll be doing this for a year. I didn't, I was like, we'll see what happens. But yeah, people actually email me. Go figure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With like great questions too. Great. I mean, sometimes it's a little messy situation, but yeah. How have you found like the responses to being like, is there any kind of follow-up that you hear back from people after putting your response out?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. So most times no. So what I post on online, I emailed them in their email prior to, so they already read what I wrote. In most cases, I don't get a response. Every once in a while, I'll get a response. Oh, thank you for your advice, blah, blah. Most cases, I don't. So I don't get a follow-up. I don't know if they're like, oh, dang, they're shocked by what I say. I don't know. Yeah. Most I don't get a response. So,
or even like a follow-up of like, I took your advice and this is what happened.
Yeah. I don't get those either in most cases.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Because I would want to be, on one hand, like you just get it out there. But on the other hand, I want to be like, so what happened?
The only person I remember that I got a follow was from, this is like one of my first ones, where a lady, she was 40, I think like 42, and she was a virgin. And she wanted to like not be a virgin anymore. And I texted how to like maneuver that process. So I gave her advice. And so that she did email me back and was like, oh, I tried this and this worked. Blah, blah, blah. So I think that was like, that's one of the few ones that I actually got like a follow-up on to see like what happened after the fact.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's exciting.
It is.
Yeah. I'm wondering for you, how like, if this is something that feels super fulfilling for you, like if there's a specific topic related to sex as you go through like the coming up on a year of doing the advice column, if there's like a specific topic within giving advice that you feel like the most passionate about.
I like the ones where women are, or men, because I get men every now and again, and they're trying to be like, I'm with this person. They're not married though. I'm with this person and I don't like having sex with them, right? And I'm always like, well, why are you staying? Because I feel like, especially with women, I feel like we are not taught to prioritize sex. It's just something that...
something that gets done to us.
Yeah. So I get a lot of women who are like, I'm not satisfied. And one of my friends, he's a man, and he reads my column like every week. He's like, you always tell people to leave they man. I'm like, yeah. I say that quite often, especially when you're not married. Like, girl, leave him and go find somebody else. Because, if you've been dating someone or with someone for like multiple years and you're miserable sexually and it's not a thing, either you need to like explore other options, like open relationship, polyness, so you can like get your needs met, or maybe you just need to find someone else. So I know it's not it's easier said than done, but I think women need to, also keep in mind that sex does matter.
Yeah. Well, and also like, because we're not really taught that sex is something that we can experience actual pleasure in, that we can be prioritized in. We like often don't know how to even identify the things that we actually want out of it. And then like don't even communicate that. So I feel like oftentimes there's a lot of like missing steps of like women being able to feel confident or comfortable even to like ask for what they want sexually. And then that's also just like, well, is the man even going to be responsive to it?
Right. That's true. That's the whole thing. Because sometimes you have men who are very caveman-ish in their thinking. Oh, I'm just sexing women. They feel like I had a man tell me, just like, I don't know, a year or two ago, He didn't use sex toys. It was a no-go for him. He was a regular sex guy. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Did he identify himself as that?
No, what he said, he does regular sex. I do regular sex.
I do regular sex.
Cool. That's fine. But sex toys is not like, that's not like freaky or anything like odd. It's quite normal and it's quite regular sex. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I mean, even people now, current day, there's men who like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like there's this woman who she actually emailed me. She got married to a man, and they didn't have sex, I think, till later or after they got married. I can't remember which one. Now it's been a while. And she wanted to use the rose. This is when this was last year, and the rose came out, and it was all the rave. Mm-hmm. So either she bought it or her friend bought one anyway. And so her husband was so intimidated by the rose, he was like, as long as you have that rose in the house, we're not going to have sex. And she was like, what I do? Because I like used it. And I was like, it depends on what you want more. Do you want to marry him more, or do you want to use the rose more? I mean, you're married to him now, so and he would not budge. He was like, we're not having sex with this rose here. And that brings up a whole nother issue, with him. But ultimately, either you can fight it and you just don't have sex with your husband, and maybe he'll come around, or maybe he won't. Who knows? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you have to put in a lot of work to have communication and then unpack that. And I think ultimately it's a matter of openness. Like, is he even open to having the conversation to unpack it? If he's not even open to having the conversation, he's not open to changing it, then yeah, you really are left with two options.
Yeah. He's not even open. He wasn't even open. He was like, no, we ain't doing that. And like, I was like, well, this is also why people should have the sex talk before they make life decisions. Mm-hmm. Like, are you okay with using sex toys? What are your thoughts on this? What is your position on that? Have the conversation. Even if you don't have sex, have a conversation. That way, at least y'all are on the same wavelength. Things.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of people in your questions are like in committed relationships already without having that kind of sex talk, if you will, beforehand?
Yeah. People have the conversation when it's too late. Mm-hmm. They don't have it in the beginning.
Yeah. How do you like recommend or encourage folks to do that earlier?
I always try to tell people, when I write my advice, like, I tell people that you should have the conversation early for people who are reading it, like, let this be a cautionary tale kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Don't be like them. Have the talk early. That way you can at least know if y'all like the same things or not, or at least are interested in the same things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's got to be, I've been trying to think too. I'm like, I think I want to make like a game that like people can play before having sex, where they actually have to address all of these things that typically they don't, not even necessarily like before they're going to have like a romantic relationship with one another, but just if you feel like you're going to have sex with someone, instead of maybe mid Netflix and chill, you pull out the card game and ask each other some questions before chilling.
If needed, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad and unfortunate. How have you seen, like, as COVID has kind of ebbed and flowed over the last year, does that come up in these questions? I feel like I haven't seen any that are like in my head from that you've posted.
I had one COVID one. This lady has she already has an underlying condition. And she wanted to get back in dating because COVID, she wasn't having sex at all. And she wanted to get into like having sex. And she was like, what are some safe ways to do it? Because I have, whatever. And so, I was like, you have to do what's important. She's vaccinated. So date people who are vaccinated first. Let's start there. And you can do that with like, OkCupid and I think Tinder, yes. OkCupid, they have, now you can highlight if you're vaccinated. on your
wow.
body. Yeah. So like start there, and then, you know, maybe just work your way up to it. Once you know they're vaccinated, y'all get weekly COVID testing because you already are have a condition. Then you can, you know, gradually work your way up to just having that one partner who y'all only do sex with each other, and then y'all get tested regularly, so that way you can feel safe.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing to think, even that we've been in this for as long as we have, and that like it's on dating apps and
dating apps. And other countries, like somebody was telling me, Canada, how Canada basically is COVID free.
Are they though?
Yeah, like they don't even have. And I asked them, I was like, well, how is that? And they was like, because one, they don't do like this whole public gathering like do in America. We don't do that. Everybody there is vaccinated, mostly like 85% of the population is vaccinated. And like you have to wear masks. They have stricter laws and rules there than we over here. You know, over here in America, you know, each state does their own.
Yeah.
So, like, oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know definitely in some places like the vaccination rate is super high, but like I definitely know someone in Canada who like recently just got COVID. Yeah, super, super unfortunate, but is doing okay now. But was like out and about doing stuff and had seen someone who was also like unvaccinated. So there's that part. But yeah, I just can't believe it. It's like, I don't know how to date anymore. Maybe I should be asking you advice questions in this episode.
Listen, I don't know how to date either. My dating life is a mess. So I can't help you with those questions. I'm trying to figure this out day by day myself. Yeah. I have no advice.
How do you feel like doing the like both blog, the column and the blog, like influences your dating at all?
I don't think it influences. I don't think it has an effect on it. Because I don't write about people that I know.
Yeah.
I don't write about people. Like
but like things that like you learn from what people are sharing, perhaps, or like news things.
I've had men though who told me like, you're not gonna write about me and your stuff. I was like, well, you haven't read it. I don't write about people. It's not a personal thing.
Be like, you need to give me something worthy to write about.
Right. Like I don't write about people, so no worries there. But that's like the only thing that people have come up like, you're not gonna write about me, are you? I'm not. I don't write about any men on my page. So.
I decided that I am going to write about some, but not like anyone I'm actually dating, but like a message that I got on a dating app recently that I immediately texted my white girlfriend afterwards, and I was like, can you tell me a time that someone has ever said this to you? Because I know that nobody's ever fucking said it to her. And like people, white guys in my past who I have been at the time dating, they refer to my hair as a mop.
Oh, wow.
They're like...
Oh, wow. People say that?
Yeah, but they think... All right, I'm going to just read it to you. They think it's a compliment. Like, this dude on this freaking app... Well, previously, one of my exes, like, he'd be like... I don't even remember how he would say it because I would just try to block it out, but... Yeah, it would be like, oh, like, yeah, you got such a good mop, or like, yeah, you got to fix your mop, or like, oh, I want to like get my hands in that mop. And I'm like, stop. My hair is not a mop. Like, why do you say that? And I remember my ex, he's like, well, you know, because it's like, it's big, you know, and it's like curly. And sometimes it's a little frizzy. And I was just like, what the fuck? Same guy that like told me he had dated black women. And then I said ashy. And he was like, what's ashy? And I was like, you lied.
Yeah. Not a mop. Oh, wow. Like,
a mop.
Yesterday, I got someone, I was on Tinder yesterday, and someone asked me, how much did I weigh? A man asked me that. I posted on Facebook. I'll probably post it on Instagram today. But he asked me how much I weighed.
No.
How much do you weigh? I was like, that's rude. And then proceeds to go off on me and called me an out-of-shape hoe. I'm going to post it on Instagram today. Yeah, he did.
This motherfucker!
Yeah, I was like, well, damn. Okay. Like, I didn't even do nothing.
See, so what do you do at that point then? You like block? See, I didn't even respond to this message. He said, this is on like Raya. So it's like, see, I played myself because it's a white boy. But I thought, I was like, yeah, like hired, like people who just like maybe would get my life more, whatever. It's like it's a fucking weird ass space. But he messaged, he said, it's because I know who Esther Perel is, isn't it? Because he had like a Esther Perel thing on his page. He said, really, really, though, happy Friday, Taylor. Hope you've had a good one. Oh, and your hair takes many awesome and beautiful forms. I'm sure it's hard to tame, but damn, it's a good mop. Enjoy.
Who says that? Who says that?
I'm
It's a good mop.
And the enjoy at the end. Enjoy what?
You called my hair a mop. Like, and it's supposed to be like a compliment, and it's not. That is not a compliment.
I'm sure it's hard to tame. It's a great mop. Enjoy. Enjoy what, sir? I'm like, great. You know who Esther Perel is, so maybe you have some emotional intelligence, but clearly not any unpacked racial bias. So thank you.
Oh, at all. That's very weird.
Yeah,
but men in general are just underwhelming. No matter what race, as a whole gender, they are just underwhelming.
Yeah, unfortunately, a consequence, I think, of patriarchy. But I mean, you responded to your guy who asked about your weight to the point where he was like, "You're a overweight hoe," or whatever. He's out of shape hoe.
I said, wow. I said, sir, that's rude. So we were talking on his page. It said he likes women that are fit. Right.
That's a red flag to me.
Right now, I didn't see that part. So after I liked him, but on Tinder, we both have to like each other for it to be a match. Right. Yep. To throw it out there. So on the profile, I had like selfies or like tops up. I didn't have any full body pictures. I just did it right quick. So I didn't have any full body pictures to post. I didn't think about it. So I was like, oh wow. I commented. I said, oh, you said you like fit women. That's what I said. Laugh out loud. And so he was like, oh, this is why you don't have any full body pictures. I was like, no, it's just easier to take selfies than taking a whole full body picture. And then I just haven't got around to posting a full body picture. How much you weigh? Sir, that's rude. That's what I said. That is rude. Yes. Then he goes off. I'm like, that's you don't ask people. That's like me asking you how much money you make or how big is your dick. I don't say nothing. I don't ask.
I wish you would have clapped back with that one. Sorry, how big is your dick?
How big is your dick? Right. You ask me personal questions. How big is your dick?
Personal questions about your body that you're not entitled to. Yeah.
Men are underwhelming.
Yeah. Because I thought about it. I was like, do I take a moment? Do I share? Do I help unpack this? And then I was like, I think it's just going to be an unmatch for me. Because I don't think we have to like put in all this extra energy, especially that was the first message. That was that was it. And he ended it with enjoy.
Enjoy your mop. Okay. All right. That is not a compliment. Like, oh my God, no. Enjoy.
I cannot get over the enjoy at the end. Like how, what?
Men are so like.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's that's going to be an unmatch for me. You should report your dude.
Well, he unmatched with me after I was like, oh, I'm a hoe now. So I don't even know how to report him now because he unmatched with me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I didn't know if you were dating right now or what that looked like for you, but yeah, I'm glad.
Currently, actually, it's a whole ordeal, but yeah.
Is it a hotation?
No,
I miss the hotation days.
I don't. I'm over those days. I've done that a long time. So I was dating. Well, currently still am dating this one person for like I don't know, last 2 months or so. So relationships have their own things. Mm-hmm. Like they're hard work.
Yes, hard work. That was a recent post you just did.
Yes, and that was why I posted that, because it's hard work. I was like, God dang, I didn't sign up for like, my God. Just being able to consider other people and be able to communicate without someone getting their feelings hurt and trying to say what you got to say without sounding a certain way. It's like a whole thing. So,
yeah, there's a lot in that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to actually have a relationship, but there are totally parts of Hotation that like I miss. There were like certain peaks of the Hotation, where it's like several people that you really like and they really feel and that are feeling you too. And it's really just like, how do you even want to narrow it down? And that's like the part that I miss, because now it feels like the Hotation felt so free, and I feel like I can't be like free in dating. Like I feel like there's got to be all these like things that have to come before, like, are you vaccinated? When's the last time you were tested? You seeing other people? Because before I wouldn't really care, but now I'm like, who you be seeing?
That's important. Like, I got no shit. Like, I need to know all this stuff. Yeah.
And yeah, taking someone into consideration, especially if you have like been single for a while, it's like, it's not just you anymore.
No, it's not. And you have to, Lord, you got to figure that out.
This is hitting home.
But I'm telling you, you have to figure that out. And that is, that is, for me, that is the biggest thing with relationships. And this is not like this one particular, even ones in the past, it's always a thing of like, we have to constantly work on ourselves and then work on the relationship.
Yeah. It's like, I think for so long, I took that saying of like relationships are work to like a whole nother fucking level, like where it was like unhealthy, where it was like, no, actually I should not have to like defend myself this much. I should not have to like explain myself this much. Like I deserve and I'm worthy of being understood in a relationship. And when people are just like bent on not actually understanding you and not holding space for you, like that's not the kind of work that a relationship should be.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. How do you feel you're figuring out the balance of like the work being like the healthy love work, the maintenance work, the digging deep type of work versus like this is a unmatched work?
I'm trying to figure out, which is which, because, part of me is like, well, dang, so in certain situations, you like, I think I should probably just get rid of you. But then it's like, well,
you're like, get rid of your man. Get rid of him. Just get rid of him.
Can this be worked out? Right? Can it be worked out? Is it something that can be salvageable? Is it how is this a non-negotiable? Like, learning those things, I think is what I'm figuring out.
Yeah. Yeah. Asking you what your weight is, non-negotiable. Bye.
I don't work. No.
Yeah. Calling my hair a mop, non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. Yeah. Can you think of any other non-negotiables for you?
Disrespect is a non-negotiable for me. Disrespect, physical abuse.
Yeah.
Those are like the two. I need to be once you like, you can't be hitting on me. No, we ain't doing that. So those are like the biggest two.
Yeah. I think one of my biggest ones is like verbally swearing at me. Like not like, oh, like this is fucking crazy, but like, fuck you. Like shut the fuck up. Like those for me are like hella triggering, like within my body. But it's funny because even when you actually like stand by your non-negotiables, how you really know it's a red flag, it's an unmatch, is when they try to like manipulate you out of your non-negotiable. And that's where I found myself get fucked up in the past.
So when it comes to like non-negotiables and red flags, do you tell people ahead of time, these are triggers for me? Or do you just like, I don't know, let them figure out on their own?
I do. Usually I give one pass. I give what, like, there's obviously more non-negotiables, but like in this example, I definitely share that like ahead of time, because usually in the beginning of talking, there's some sort of, sharing of like past relationships. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's always something I make sure to share of like, I swear a lot in my relationship. Like just, I swear a lot in general. I swear a lot on the podcast. I just like to fucking swear. Right. But I don't swear at people. Like, that's very disrespectful to me. It becomes very abusive, in my opinion. I've had it done to me in the past a lot. And so I do express all of this. If they slip up once, I remind, and I'm like dead ass serious. I'm like, we talked about this. This is a no. How they respond to that is so fucking key to me. Mm-hmm. And this fucking happened on Paradise. And it was terrible. And I was like, we talked about this. And it was like, still just bulldozed me and all kinds of shit where I was just like, what? No, this is a no. This is a fucking no. And then I felt so like manipulated. It's like, accept the apology and blah, blah. And I was like, the apology is a little late. But okay. Yeah. But there's others that like, there was actually a guy on Bumble just like a few months back, and we were like texting. This is the first time I ever sexted in Bumble. It was like within the first like 3 messages, we just fucking ravaged each other virtually.
Where was one? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
It was great too. And he fucking like lives here in Seattle too, but is like hella flaky and literally never even got together. So I was like, this is disappointing. But in the one phone call we had, he made some comments of like, it was a lot of banter, but where I was like being a little shit, like sexually-ish. And he was like, oh, fuck you. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. I was just like, no, that one I don't like. Like, you can like say I'm being a little like shit or whatever, but I don't like that. Like, you can say, I want to fuck you.
Not fucking me.
Yeah. And he's like, that's what I meant. I'm joking. And I was like, yeah, I know, but no. Yeah. So I like to give one pass, but non-negotiable. Yeah. Do you share yours up front?
I do. Like, not up front per se, but like as I see like a problem happens, I'll share like, I don't like this, So I will tell people so they can't be like, oh, I didn't know, because we've had a conversation about it. So you do know because we talked. Because people are not mind readers, and people are just, especially when something's new, you have people come in who don't know anything about each other. They're learning. Yeah. You have to learn the people. So you do that by communicating. So.
And that is some of the hard work.
Yes. God, yes. Oh, Jesus. Yes.
Yeah. You ever you should maybe just write out your situation to yourself and then write an advice column on yourself.
I should do
to yourself.
I should do that. I have this man here. I should do that. I'm gonna do that next week.
Yeah, but it looks like this week we're both gonna be posting about our dating experience.
Yeah, I'm about to post mine when we got this call, actually.
Okay. Well, if people want to write in and get advice, or if they want to follow up with the blog, where are all the places that people can find you, that people can support you? I really want you to share where people can support you, because I really hate that your page got taken down and is bullshit. I know it's back and you're good, but still.
So on Instagram, it is Sex with Ashley. And on there, you can also find Gossip and Gasms, and it's Gossip and Gasms. That's on Instagram too. And if you want to email me a sex question, the email is ashley@sexwithashley.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Any ways that people can support you?
Yeah, support by reading my shit. All the views held on Gossip and Gasms. Listen. Yeah. Read my shit, click an ad, I can pay for that.
click every fucking ad.
Yes, click an ad.
Amazing. That is what people will do. We'll go and we will click all the ads.
Yeah.
And support. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, for sharing, for all the work that you do. I don't know how you do so. It's a lot of writing.
It is, but I like it though. Like I really like it. So it's not something that's like a job for me. Like I look forward to doing the Gasms and Gasms and the column every week. Yeah. I like it. So
yeah, that's awesome. I'm like not a writer, so it feels overwhelming to me to think about doing myself. But no, I love that you're doing it, and it's so juicy, all of it.
Oh, well, thanks for reading.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again. And I'm so happy we got to have you on the podcast again.
Yep. Glad to be here.
All right. That does it for today's episode. Thank you so much for making it all the way through and keeping your ears, your hearts, and your minds open. It would mean so much to me if you could take a second or two after listening to this episode to leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you're enjoying about the show. I love reading, what your favorite episodes are, where you guys listen, and definitely feel free to share this with a friend. I mean, part of how we break down the stigmas around these topics is by talking about them, right? And sharing them with more people. So definitely share the podcast. And again, really wanting to include all of you in this podcast. So if you have questions or you want to share a thought or an experience, please send in a voice memo to ask.letstalkaboutit@gmail.com. And I'm really excited to keep having these conversations and breaking down these stigmas. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll talk to you next time.